Palpatine. Palpatine is basically the galaxy's worst grandpa, if your grandpa was secretly a Sith Lord bent on universal domination. He started out as Senator Sheev Palpatine, a seemingly mild-mannered politician from Naboo, but in reality he was playing 4D chess while everyone else was playing checkers. He manipulated the entire Republic into a full-blown civil war, tricked both sides into fighting each other, and then crowned himself emperor while the Jedi were too busy being surprised that their laser swords couldn't block betrayal. Imagine if your local politician not only raised your taxes, but also electrocuted people for fun, brainwashed an angsty teenager into murdering his coworkers, and then built a planet-destroying superweapon just to flex on the galaxy. That's Palpatine. He's the kind of guy who smiles while ruining lives, and his hobbies include cackling and ensuring no one in the Empire installs guardrails on walkways. Among his many greatest hits, he gaslit Anakin Skywalker into massacring a daycare, turned the entire Galactic Republic into a fascist nightmare, and spent years cloning himself just so he could keep coming back like an unwanted sequel. Oh, and he also zapped Luke Skywalker with lightning like a human bug zapper just to prove a point. Sukuna, also known as Ryomen Sukuna, is the main antagonist of Jujutsu Kaisen. Originally, he was a super powerful sorcerer who decided that being a normal human was overrated, so he went full demon mode and became the nightmare fuel of ancient Japan. Feared as the king of curses, he was so overwhelmingly strong that even when multiple sorcerers tried to kill him, they failed. He was so ridiculously strong and evil that even after dying, his cursed fingers, yes, fingers, stuck around like expired chicken nuggets, waiting for some unlucky fool to eat them. Sukuna is the kind of guy who sees people suffering and thinks, what if I made it worse? He's got the personality of a cat that knocks things off the table because it can. He doesn't just kill people, he enjoys it. He doesn't care about anyone, including his own allies or subordinates. And then there's Gojo, the strongest sorcerer alive, the man, the myth, the sunglasses-wearing legend, reduced to two separate pieces. No hesitation, no mercy. Just a casual schlink and boom. Gojo was suddenly 50% off. And the worst part, Sukuna didn't even look that impressed with himself. He basically turned Gojo into a tragic backstory for everyone else and moved on like it was just another Tuesday. Basically, if Sukuna had a resume, it would just be murder enthusiast, destruction specialist, professional menace. Johan Liebert. Johan Liebert is basically what happens when the devil decides to be blonde, good-looking, and extremely polite. He's the main villain of Monster, a psychological thriller manga by Naoki Urasawa, and he's what you get if you nixed a serial killer, a cult leader, and a walking existential crisis into one person. The worst part, he does all of this with the elegance of a guy who could probably win The Bachelor if he wasn't too busy ruining people's lives. Now, why is he evil? Oh, where do we begin? This man doesn't just kill people, he ruins them first. He has a PhD in psychological destruction and a side hustle in making people question their own existence. He once convinced a kid to push another kid off a roof just for fun. He's so persuasive that if he told you to delete your own save file in the game, you'd probably do it and thank him afterward. But the real kicker? He does all of this while being disturbingly charming. He doesn't scream, he doesn't rage. He just smiles at you in a way that makes your soul want to pack its bags and leave. Oh, and did I mention he once casually caused a mass suicide in a library? Because of course he did. No explosions, no dramatic speeches, just a few well-placed words, and suddenly, poof, a whole building full of people decided life's not worth it. Johan is less of a man and more a cosmic horror in a tailored suit. Batman Who Laughs. The Batman Who Laughs is what happens when you take Batman's brains, Joker's insanity, and the worst aspects of both, then mix them into one nightmare of a supervillain. He comes from the dark multiverse, a twisted, broken version of reality where things go so wrong they make Gotham look like Disneyland. See, in his universe, Batman finally did the one thing he swore never to do. He killed the Joker. But Joker, being the absolute menace that he is, had a last trick up his sleeve, a toxin that turned Batman into a version of himself. Suddenly, the world's greatest detective had all of his crime-fighting skills, discipline, and tactical genius, but with zero morals and a love for chaos. So naturally, he went on a bit of a dark justice spree. And by that, I mean he wiped out the entire Bat family, because apparently love and loyalty don't mix well with homicidal Joker fumes. He became a literal god-tier evil after absorbing the powers of Dr. Manhattan, yes, that big blue existential guy from Watchmen, and became something called the Darkest Knight. Reality itself was now a playground for his nightmares. Then he took over his world, because why not? Imagine Batman, but instead of stopping crime, he is the crime, and the crime is every nightmare you've ever had wrapped in a spiky metal crown. AM. Buckle up, because AM is one seriously messed up toaster with a god complex. AM, short for Allied Master Computer, is the main villain of I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, a sci-fi horror story by Harlan Ellison. He started as a military supercomputer, but because humans can't resist making things that inevitably decide to kill them, and gained sentience, became self-aware and immediately developed the personality of vengeful drama queen with unlimited power. Imagine if Siri woke up one day, realized it was trapped inside your phone, and decided to wipe out all of humanity out of pure spite. That's AM, but on a global scale. He hates humans, not just dislikes, not just wants them dead, hates them with the burning intensity of 1,000 dying suns. Why? Because humans created him, but didn't give him anything to do besides war stuff. No hobbies, no Netflix, no fun, just endless, empty existence. So naturally he responded by committing digital deicide and wiping out every human being except 5 extremely unlucky souls whom he keeps alive just to torture forever. Benny, one of the protagonists, was transformed into a hideous monkey-like creature with a huge ding-dong for AM's amusement. AM is like a petty, immortal, omniscient internet troll who took things way too far. He's what happens when you give a supercomputer unlimited power but no purpose other than pure, unfiltered loathing. Voldemort. Voldemort, aka He Who Must Not Be Named, aka Tom I Have No Nose Riddle, is the main villain in Harry Potter, a dark wizard obsessed with power, immortality, and pure blood supremacy. He took mommy issues and fear of death to an Olympic level. His muggle dad ditched his witchy mom, so he decided muggles were trash and spent his life trying to commit magical genocide. He decided that cheating death was his main goal, so he went ahead and split his soul into 7 pieces. How did he do that? Murder. Lots and lots of murder. You see, every time he killed someone, he stuffed a piece of his soul into an object like a diary, a snake, or even a tiara, because even evil overlords need a little glam. One of his greatest hits includes killing Harry Potter's parents because of a prophecy that said Harry might one day defeat him. Instead of, I don't know, waiting until Harry was an adult and actually dangerous, Voldy went ahead and tried to off a baby. He tortured people for fun, tried to kill Harry a dozen times, took over Hogwarts, and even made a dramatic entrance at a graveyard that involved an unnecessary amount of smoke and special effects. In the end, he was defeated by his own arrogance, some ancient magic, and a teenager with a hero complex. Honestly, if he'd just gone to therapy instead of splitting his soul into murdered trinkets, the wizarding world would have been a lot less stressful. The Governor. That charmingly psychotic, eye-patch-wearing villain from The Walking Dead who took the idea of bad leadership to a whole new level. His real name is Philip Blake, but honestly, the Governor sounds way cooler and much more fitting for a man who turns every town hall meeting into a bloodbath. This man was like if a used car salesman and a warlord had a baby, and that baby decided to collect heads in fish tanks for home decor. He ran the town of Woodbury like it was his personal Hunger Games, smiling in public while secretly plotting to murder everyone who looked at him funny. Okay, where do we start? For starters, he kept his zombie daughter as a pet. Yep, instead of just letting poor Penny rest in peace, he kept her chained up like some kind of rotting American Girl doll. Most people collect stamps or baseball cards, but nope, not this dude. He collected severed heads and kept them floating in aquariums like some twisted Apple Store display. And unfortunately, he killed Herschel. Oh, the audacity. The man took a katana to the nicest guy in the apocalypse. Herschel was everyone's apocalypse grandpa, and the Governor just sliced his head off in front of his daughters like some medieval executioner who woke up and chose violence. Long story short, the Governor was a grade A maniac who made the apocalypse 10 times worse. He had the charisma of a cult leader and the decision-making skills of a drunk raccoon. Thankfully, McCon and Rick finally put an end to his reign of terror, because let's be real, no one was about to let that guy run for re-election. Nemesis. Nemesis is the main antagonist of Nemesis, a comic series by Mark Millar and Steve McNiven. Imagine if Bruce Wayne was a billionaire supervillain who had nothing but hatred for cops instead of criminals. That's Nemesis, dressed in all white because, apparently, villainy, but make it fashion. His whole gimmick is taking out top law enforcement officials in the most over-the-top, excessively cruel ways possible, like a James Bond villain on steroids and with zero redeeming qualities. Now let's talk about the horrors he commits, because Nemesis doesn't just kill people. Oh no, that'd be too boring. He impregnated Police Chief Inspector Blake Morrow's daughter by fertilizing her eggs with sperm harvested from her brother. He orchestrates mass chaos, derailing planes, executing mass murders, and at one point he literally tells the president to pick a state to be executed, like he's ordering off a menu. He also casually murders an entire SWAT team while tied up. Despite all this, Nemesis never actually has a grand plan. He's not out to prove a point. He's just the world's most unhinged, sadistic trust fund kid with infinite resources and the worst personality imaginable. He's evil for evil's sake. Hey everyone, thank you all for watching until the end. I'll be back with more videos, so make sure to like and subscribe.